Good afternoon. I'm Debbie Chandler. I'm the chair of the Regional Business Alliance, and I'm also the CEO of Colorado Springs Health Partners. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. And I just, before we begin the program, and this is the part where you're supposed to be quiet, but before we begin the program, I really would like to have a moment of silence for those that lost their lives and were affected by Black Friday. It's sad that I have to say that, but I think it's very important. So if we could just be quiet and remember them. Okay, thank you. Next, one other thing I'd like to do is, would the first responders in the audience please stand? I just want you to know, I personally, and I think everyone in this room, very much appreciate what you've done and what you did for our community, because we, in a dark hour, we shone, and so thank you very much for that. So now let's move on to something a little more uplifting. If I could have Linda Weiss and her trio join us. They're going to lead us. They're from the Colorado Springs Conservatory, and they're going to lead us in singing the national anthem. Sure. You don't want me in there, I'm sure. You sure? Stand over here.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
So much thanks to the Colorado Springs Conservatory. We have a lot of exciting things to talk about, and I want to make sure that we recognize all of the honored guests in the room. Not that we're not all honored, but we have a few that we'd like to put at the top. So if I could start with my good friend, Secretary of State Wayne Williams, and State Representative Kit Rupe, and we have the leader of her campaign here. 4th Judicial District Attorney Dan May. Of course, our El Paso County Chair of the board, Amy Lathen. And with Amy, she has her husband Bob, and I would say her children, but they look way too big to be her children. Nicholas and Emily. Over this, Nicholas and Emily, if you'd stand up for us. Everybody wants to, thank you. You're right, Amy, they did listen to me. Commissioners, Dennis Heisey, Daryl Glenn, and Peggy Littleton. El Paso County Sheriff Bill Elder. Clerk and Recorder, Bro Ehrman. Bro, are you here? Bro Ehrman, yeah, I got that right. And of course, our County Administrator, Henry Yankowski. From the City of Colorado Springs, representing the Mayor, Chief of Staff, Jeff Green. And our President of Council, Merv Bennett. President Pro Tem Jill Gabler. And council members Larry Bagley, Bill Murray, Andy Pico, and Tom Strand. Fire Chief Christopher Riley. And our mayor from the city of Manitou, Mark Snyder. Mayor Pro Tem Tyler Stevens from Green Mountain Falls. And new to our area, I happen to know because his wife is joining CSHP, Chris Lowe. Chris is the town manager for Monument. Commissioner Sean Conway from Weld County. Sean? Representative U.S. Senator, representing Senator U.S. Cory Gardner, Brandon Gould. Representing U.S. Congressman Doug Lamborn, Dale Anderson. A friend to the VA, that's for sure. Debbie Miller from the Greater Woodland Park Chamber of Commerce. And from the Tri-Lakes Chamber of Commerce, we have Terry Hayes. And the most important man in the room to me, Matt Coleman, the RBA incoming chair. And Dirk Draper, the president and CEO of the Business Alliance. We'd like to thank each of you for your service to the citizens of our region, as well as your leadership on critical issues that impact our daily lives. Thank you to our sponsors. You've seen them flashing up here: Conspire, Kaiser Permanente, El Pomar Foundation, and the Gazette. As my 10 years chair of the board of the Regional Business Alliance comes to a close, I'm pleased to report that the RBA and its board are strong and headed in a very positive direction. Among our key successes in 2015, number one, hiring of a strong new leadership in Dirk Draper and the team that he's been building. I'm sure you've met and some of the new staff members, and we're all very excited on the board about these moves. Next, the RBA is well positioned for success, having completed a strategy session led by our own Matt Coleman earlier this fall. Both the board and staff are nearing completion of a 2016 strategic plan that is designed to refocus and accentuate the role and strengths of the Regional Business Alliance. We have the installation of community development. That includes governmental affairs and participation in strategies that will prepare our workforce for the needs in our community. This has been a void in the RBA's function in recent years, and now we're filling it very actively. I'd like to thank all of you that participate on that Community Development Council. It's been very successful. On the economic development front, we anticipate some very exciting news from several top prospects that are going to be made in the first and second quarter of 2016, so stay tuned. And to my successor, Matt Coleman, I know he will lead the organization as board chair with the same tireless energy and commitment that I've seen from him as we've worked side by side in 2015. So very excited about Matt's leadership in 2016. I'm pleased to say that the RBA has confidently returned to its role of collaborator, forward thinker, facilitator, and discussion leader for the business community in Colorado Springs. I would say we definitely are the voice of business. And there's much more to come. To my colleagues on the Board of Directors and Board of Governors, thank you for your leadership and support. It's meant a lot to everyone in this community this last year, particularly me. To those who have implemented the RBA mission, our staff, the board is very encouraged with your focus and commitment to excellence in all the work that you do. So thank you again. You can clap, it's okay. And finally, a very important part of the RBA are volunteers that continue to be critical to the success of our organization. It really takes a community. And today we honor the 2015 Ambassador of the Year, not the 2015, not the 2015, yeah. This year's recipient, and this is pretty amazing, I didn't know all of these things about her, but this year's recipient has served for 9 years. She has contributed over 2,100 volunteer hours, serving on countless Business Alliance committees and events, and is currently serving as the chair of the RBA Ambassadors, so that gives it away. Ladies and gentlemen, our 2015 Ambassador of the Year, Jackie Gonzalez with U.S. Bank. Jackie, if you can come forward. They're going to trust me to hand out something glass. I'm impressed. I'll give you the box. Okay. Okay, so now to move on to the main event, what we've all been waiting for. One thing I want to say before I introduce Amy is that I just got this news today. Andy, thanks for telling us this, but the county commissioners have opened up a clerk and recorder's office on Fort Carson's property, so on that post. And so what a nice thing, a great thing to do for our military, the convenience, and I think that's awesome. Good news. You're probably going to say that, Amy, sorry. So Commissioner Amy Lathen is a Colorado native, born in Denver and a graduate of UCCS. Since taking office in 2008, Commissioner Lathen has developed a well-deserved reputation as champion for business and economic development. Amy has been a strong supporter of our efforts and is a strong believer in the power of regional collaboration and public, private, and non-private partnerships as the best way to solve big problems and promote economic vitality. Please join me in welcoming the Chair of El Paso County Commissioners, Amy Lathen.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome. And before I get started, I just want to take a quick moment and ask all of our public information staff at El Paso County to please stand, because you deserve a huge amount of thanks for all that you've done to put all of this together. So please do. Thank you very much. Folks, 30 years ago, as we were recently reminded, the movie Back to the Future hit the big screen. I know many of us in this room can't believe that it's already been 30 years, but it sure has been that long. In this hit movie series, Marty McFly wanted to get back to the future after he had made a change in events that took place in the past. In the movie, the future was 2015, and Marty McFly's future of 2015 had flat-screen televisions, video conferencing, biometric identification, and even drones. It turns out, like the proverbial blind squirrel that occasionally gets a nut, even Hollywood gets it right sometimes. On the other hand, in Marty McFly's 2015, we were all zipping around on hoverboards, we had self-lacing shoes, flying cars, and can you believe it? Fax machines in telephone booths. So not everything was exactly right. Now, a couple of months ago, about the same time as the anniversary of this movie, we were starting to work on this State of the Region address. And it occurred to me that as a region, we are a little bit like Marty McFly. We really do need to get back to the future. I'm not saying that we shouldn't all have a 30-year-old DeLorean sitting in our driveway. I'm not sure Jay might appreciate that very much, but what I am suggesting is that fires and floods, recovery and mitigation, the immediate and urgent problems that have taken much of our time, energy, and resources need to be in the past. Charles Hummel, in his best-selling book, described the tyranny of the urgent as working as hard as we can for as long as we can on things that are clearly urgent, but may not be the most important in the long run. Now, don't get me wrong. We can all be proud that by working collaboratively as a region, state and federal agencies, nonprofits, the county, the city, utilities, Forest Service, military installations, private landowners, the SBDC, and others, the most urgent problems resulting from the fires and floods have been addressed. Multiple flood control structures are now in place to control burn scar runoff and catch debris in the Ute Pass area, Manitou Springs, and northwest Colorado Springs. Now, this is what it looked like as Jones Road was washed out in a rainstorm last July. Just got to take a moment to see how bad this was. The road has since been rebuilt with a bigger and more efficient drainage structure, and here it is today. Pretty extraordinary work that they've done. Thank you. Now, we know there are still very important issues that need to be resolved.
I wish it would have come sooner. We wouldn't have had to do this detour at this time and have to wait as we have.
These barricades on Black Forest Road speak volumes about lasting impact from record-setting wildfires. This particular project is qualified for federal gas tax dollars, but unfortunately, as we all know, the federal process takes time, and so the road will remain closed until possibly next July. Now, as if the fires and floods aren't enough, blizzards are another great example of the tyranny of the urgent. And today, I want to take this opportunity to give a shout out to County Public Services crews, some of whom are here with us today, right back here. And gentlemen, if you could please stand, we would love to recognize you. Thank you. This is the way it looked during the recent mid-November blizzard, and we greatly appreciate our county plow operators, along with our city and state partners, who go into a 24-hour call-out mode with every storm. Public safety is their first priority, so major thoroughfares and roads serving schools and medical facilities must be cleared. With the storm in November, 40 to 60 mile per hour winds drifted the snow right back where it was as soon as the plows passed. So while the actual snowfall was only about 7 inches, our public services crews were dealing with drifts up to 7 feet in some areas. Now these things happen. They become urgent, and working together, we deal with them because it's our job. But at the same time, we have to maintain our focus on a future full of possibilities, partly because of God-given gifts like spectacular mountain vistas, clean air and water, and partly because El Paso County and the Pikes Peak region have been given a great legacy from leaders and doers who dealt with multiple crises of each day while maintaining a back-to-the-future focus. Founder, General William Palmer, dealt with daily crises that ranged from skirmishes with native tribes to all-out railroad wars. So there was no shortage of urgency in his time. Still, he looked to the future in planning a city with a first-class liberal arts college, a downtown anchor hotel, wide streets, expansive parks, and abundant open space. Spencer Penrose arrived in El Paso County pretty much broke in 1892. His childhood friend, Charles Tutt, had sent Penrose a letter extolling the great opportunities in our region. Over the next 10 years, Tutt, Penrose, and a third partner, Charles McNeil, built 7 mills to process Cripple Creek ore. To be sure, their days were filled with urgent matters, but being back-to-the-future businessmen, they invested profits from mills in a brand new and then unproven process that might make it practical to tap a vast reserve of copper from an unprofitable mine in Utah. Then, as now, there were plenty of naysayers shouting that the process would never work and that Penrose and Tutt should be concentrating their resources on the urgent and immediate needs of their existing businesses. Penrose became the largest shareholder in what is now Kennecott Copper. The company began to pay dividends in 1909, and Penrose regularly received annual dividend checks totaling more than $1 million. The partners continued to look to the future. They bought the land for the Broadmoor in 1916, and through their legacy, in the form of the El Pomar Foundation, their impact will continue for as far as we can see into the future. Palmer and Penrose were among the first of many Back to the Future leaders whose legacies continue as tremendously valuable regional assets. How about Alice Bemis Taylor and a group of 14 or so women? They were looking into the future. They saw that women with children would be critical to the future workforce in this community, and so they created the Colorado Springs Day Nursery. How about Winfield Scott Stratton, whose legacy includes the downtown post office, the 1903 El Paso County Courthouse, and our first mass transit system, which carried folks all the way out of the city into unincorporated El Paso County like the Broadmoor and the Roswell community. And folks, that's just near Cascade and Fillmore. Stratton also saw the need to provide services to those with special needs. The Myron Stratton home reminds us of our legacy as a caring community. Now, I'm guessing that we all took showers this morning, and most of us can thank Back to the Future leaders in the 1950s and 60s who encountered a good many naysayers but moved ahead with the Homestake Water Project anyway. Back to the Future leaders in the 80s and 90s invested in Homestake 2 and the Southern Delivery System, which will be coming online very soon. Back to the Future leaders on the Board of County Commissioners built the Pikes Peak Center. And county and city leaders joined with El Pomar and a large group of Back to the Future private business and civic leaders to build the World Arena. And all of us in the room today are called upon to continue this legacy of Back to the Future leadership. Now, at this time, I want to recognize someone among us today who clearly demonstrates this legacy. Probably best known for his TV commercials for the Phil Long dealerships.
At Phil Long, we go further with car share service, and our customers love it.
And working tirelessly behind the scenes in support of many local charities for decades in our community, Jay just launched the nonprofit Mount Carmel Center of Excellence to help our warriors returning to the community and all of our veterans with the challenges they face. It is my great honor to announce Mr. Jay Cimino as our choice to receive the 2015 State of the Region Person of Influence Award. I've got a little more to say about you. With federal budget cuts and local installations parting ways with many of those who have served us so well, Jay recognized the need for a place where all the community partners who serve those transitioning military personnel can work together to be more effective and responsive. Our El Paso County Veterans Service Office, our Department of Human Services, and the Pikes Peak Workforce Center are among the agency partners available in the Mount Carmel Center. Jay recently told the Gazette, "It's all about partnerships." Thank you, Jay Cimino, our 2015 Person of Influence Award.
Thank you, Amy. These awards are wonderful, but nobody ever gets them because they actually earn or they actually work for them. We do it because we want to help, and it is my honor to be able to be in a position to help. So, again, thank you, Amy. I appreciate it.
And I want to just mention there's no truth whatsoever to the rumor that when Jay learned that we were going to honor him here with this award, that we changed the Person of Influence Award to the Value Citizen Award. No truth to that. Get it? Our next award recipient is near and dear to our hearts in our county offices. Our Feed the Children event is coming up this Saturday at Springs Church near the Chapel Hills Auto Mall. It was moved to that site several years ago when it far outgrew our old Department of Human Services parking lot. At that time, the building now known as Springs Church was known as the Chapel Hills Event Center, and it was owned by Jay and the Phil Long organization. This wonderful event, providing free food, clothing, toys, haircuts, photos with Santa, dental exams, and more to over tens of thousands of people over the years, wouldn't be possible without the generous donations of many, many people, businesses, organizations in our community. But today I want to single out one veteran county employee who really brings it all together. Rebecca Jacobs from the El Paso County Department of Human Services is our 2015 Public Employee of the Year. just want to tell you, Becky is one of the world's best promoters and organizers of public, private, and nonprofit partnerships. Her extensive contact list and her very, very impressive arm-twisting abilities have been put to the test each time the county has needed her, like to stand up disaster assistance centers to help citizens following fires and floods. And every time Becky calls, the nonprofit and faith-based resources in our community have responded to work side by side with county staff to fill that need. Thank you so much, Becky Jacobs, our 2015 State of the Region Public Employee of the Year. Homelessness and addiction are societal problems that will never be fully solved by some new federal government program or community initiative. But it is important to note, as we assess the state of the region in 2015, that we are working together like never before on these terribly difficult challenges. Next year, construction will begin on a very important new nonprofit community facility that will provide life-changing services to the homeless in our region. A facility that will truly make a difference. And that brings me to the presentation of our 2015 State of the Region Making a Difference Award. Larry Yonker is a dedicated and tireless Back to the Future leader on a mission Larry is on a mission to tackle the very difficult challenges of homelessness and addiction. Under his leadership, the Springs Rescue Mission is expanding its capacity to provide a wide range of services that are proven to transform the lives of those living with addiction and give hope to the homeless. At this time, it is my honor to present Larry Yonker, our 2015 Making a Difference Award. Larry, you are making a difference. On behalf of a grateful region, we thank you. Well, over the past 5 years, folks, more than $25 million in private donations to economic development programs and projects like the Regional Business Alliance, human services programs like the Springs Rescue Mission, and arts and culture organizations like the Fine Arts Center and the Philharmonic have been received through the El Paso County Enterprise Zone. In addition to allowable IRS deductions, there is also a 25% state tax credit for eligible contributions made through the Enterprise Zone. You can just Google El Paso County Enterprise Zone to see a listing of nonprofit Enterprise Zone projects that will qualify for the tax credit if you make a contribution through the zone. Now, during the same 5 years, El Paso County's Economic Development Office has sponsored $113 million in private revenue bonds for nonprofits serving our region, and facilitated incentive programs which have used local lenders to provide cost-effective home loans to approximately 1,600 home buyers, as well as finance 276 units of affordable multifamily housing. All of this at no cost to taxpayers. Billions of dollars in federal, state, and local government contracts are awarded each year. And those dollars can go to local companies hiring local employees, or they can go out of state. But the process of writing and submitting winning bids for government procurement can be a real challenge for local businesses. I know some of you in the room who have experienced that. And that's where the Colorado Procurement Technical Assistance Center, commonly known as PTAC, comes in. Our 2015 Economic Development Project of the Year really does shine. Under the leadership of Executive Director Gary Henry, PTAC has helped over 3,000 local businesses secure nearly $1.5 billion in government contracts since its inception in 2009. El Paso County provided initial funding to establish PTAC, and today it is located alongside the Small Business Development Center and the Pikes Peak Workforce Center on the first floor of the El Paso County Citizens Service Center. Gary Henry and Colorado PTAC, you, our 2015 Economic Development Project of the Year. Very nice. Very good. That is an extraordinary resource in our community, folks. Now, last year, when Commissioner Heisey presented the State of the Region, he suggested that our glass is more than half full and predicted continued steady economic development. I teased him as to whether or not I would tell him he was right or not, but folks, he is right. He was right then and he's right now. At 3.9%, unemployment is down from just over 5% at this time last year. Our Pikes Peak Workforce Center has shifted from a focus on finding jobs for folks stuck in a tight job market to finding workers for businesses facing a talent shortage. Pikes Peak Regional Building has issued permits for more than $2.1 billion worth of construction this year. That's up about $300 million over the same period last year. El Paso County's sales and use tax collections are up just over 6.5% year over year. And the El Paso County Clerk and Recorder has processed more than 25,000 transactions for new motor vehicles purchased and titled in El Paso County. That's about 500 more than this time last year. So now, when we don't have to have an urgent crisis and worry about that, now is the right time to get back to the future. So what does that future look like? It looks like a time and a place where we spend less time on the urgent so that we can focus on truly important regional challenges, like making our streets and neighborhoods safe and protecting our children and seniors, finding effective ways to address homelessness and addiction, making it easier for our returning warriors to transition, ensuring that we continue to have clean air and water, managing our stormwater runoff, ensuring that we have a well-trained workforce for our businesses to compete in a global economy, building and maintaining critical transportation, recreation, and high-speed data infrastructure, and boldly stepping into the future with new ideas, projects, and economic ventures. And now, starting today, I'd like to ask all of us to begin to work together to get a federal courthouse right here in El Paso County. We are much too big with far too many ties to federal assets, federal lands, military installations, and federal contracts to be wasting countless hours and spending small fortunes each year commuting to Denver just to conduct business in federal courts. That's a good thing to applaud for. Back to the future. It will be all about working together to take advantage of everything we've been given through the legacy of Back to the Future leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, now more than ever, El Paso County and the city of Colorado Springs are working together with a viewpoint on what matters as a region. Finally, there is unprecedented collaboration in regional law enforcement, public works, and economic development, and we are getting to a point where no one is engaging in turf wars, instead recognizing our mutual goals and responsibilities and working cohesively for the benefit of our region. Thank you. In fact, many of you in this room helped organize and support the Fort Carson Listening Tour, which demonstrated our community's extraordinary commitment to our military and has moved the needle on decisions that are being made in Washington, D.C., and I want to thank each and every one of you who were involved in that and continue to be involved. Back to the Future is about taking advantage of every opportunity. This includes City for Champions and the many opportunities that it presents. Opportunities to make investments in our future, to create profitable public-private partnerships, to address the needs of the future. And, ladies and gentlemen, I am very excited to report, it is official, the demolition on the Olympic Museum site has begun. Palmer, Penrose, Stratton, and Taylor, They were all about the important partnerships, planning, and investment in our future. Getting back to the future will, in the words of Jay Cimino, be all about partnerships. And I want to recognize all of the young professionals who are here today. We have several here from the county and many more throughout the room. And I want you to know how much we appreciate that you are here today, willing to do your part to see to it that our Back to the Future world will be filled with opportunity. And ladies and gentlemen, as I close, I cannot help but think about the recent tragedies in our community, our nation, and the world. This is not who we are, and we will not be defined by these events. We will be defined by the love and the outreach of an entire community, one which shows human compassion and resiliency. I'd like to ask you, when you leave here today, to please reach out to someone, anyone. Reach out and perform a random act of kindness, even if it's out of your own comfort zone. Reach out to someone you might know who is maybe a little isolated, someone alone, and reach out in person. Show love, and thank you for the love that you have already shown. Compassion, love, and courage are all around us. Let's spread them as we heal and overcome. I hope you leave here today knowing that El Paso County is a committed partner in supporting all your efforts to create jobs, invest in our future, address important challenges, and build an even brighter future for everyone throughout the region. Thank you so much for spending your time here, and on behalf of my fellow county commissioners and all of us serving you in El Paso County government, I wish you a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a very prosperous 2016. Thank you very much.
So I'd like to thank Commissioner Lathen for an excellent presentation. I have to admit that, yes, we had to watch all of those movies this year so our kids could see them. How many people did that? Yeah, it was kind of fun. So we certainly have much to celebrate and think about in this holiday season. I would like to thank the Regional Business Alliance and El Paso County staff members for putting this event together, because, you know, it takes a lot to make us all look good. And I think, you know, the staff is what it's all about. And so thank you so much. On behalf of all of us at the Regional Business Alliance and the county, we'd like to thank you for coming, and happy holidays.